Hulk vs. Dracula, who wins?
During the Fear Itself crossover event, the serpent god of fear, Nul Breaker, unleashes his mystical worthy across the earth by giving enchanted weapons to various Marvel characters. The Hulk gets one of these weapons, a giant hammer, and transforms into Nul Breaker of Worlds. Possessed by rage and fear, Nul is a nearly unstoppable force of destruction. After wrecking cities and battling Thor, Nul, Hulk, has been hit by Thor hard enough to hurl him from New York to Transylvania. The king of vampires is not happy about it. Dracula, being the brooding, cape-wearing vampire lord that he is, finds out that a giant Asgardian rage monster is heading his way. Naturally, he tries to avoid direct confrontation at first. He orders his vampire scouts to check things out, but, as you might expect, those poor vampires get turned into vampire pancakes in record time. Realizing that diplomacy is not on Nul's to-do list, Dracula calls in all the vampire clans, including some lesser-seen vampire factions from the Marvel Universe. Think of it like assembling a supernatural Avengers, except with a lot more fangs and bats. Dracula's goal is simple: stop Hulk from turning his kingdom into a pile of rubble. You'd think hundreds of vampires swarming around the Hulk would make for an intimidating sight, right? Wrong. Hulk Nul smashes through them like they're made of tissue paper. The vampires try everything, clawing, biting, stabbing, but none of it works. The Hulk shrugs off every attack because, well, he's freaking Nul Breaker of Worlds. The vampires quickly realize that their usual tricks, turning into mist, biting necks, are useless against someone who can punch craters into mountains. Dracula's estranged son, Janus, and other vampire generals step in to strategize. They try more tactical attacks, including hit-and-run assaults and ambushes, but Nul's sheer power makes these efforts laughable. It's like throwing pebbles at a tank. Janus tries to act all smug and rebellious, but even Dracula is like, shut up and focus on not dying. Realizing brute force isn't going to cut it, Dracula resorts to ancient vampire magic and traps. He uses spells to slow Nul down and creates a giant mystical force field around the battlefield. He also deploys monstrous vampire creatures, hoping to overwhelm the Hulk with numbers. It works for about 5 minutes. Nul breaks through the traps and barriers with pure rage, forcing Dracula to retreat and rethink his entire strategy. In a last-ditch effort, Dracula pulls out a Hail Mary. He summons Shikla's forces, another supernatural faction that deals in demonic energy. They manage to hold Hulk off just long enough for Dracula's mystics to perform a binding spell that temporarily weakens the Hulk's connection to the worthy hammer. Without the full power of Nul, Hulk begins to regain some of his own consciousness. Once Nul's power wanes and Hulk regains control, Dracula realizes that he can't kill the Hulk, not without risking the destruction of all of Transylvania. Instead, they reach a tense stalemate. Hulk is finally calmed for now, and Dracula begrudgingly lets him leave, knowing full well that messing with the Hulk again could end badly for both him and his kingdom. Marvel's Fear Itself, Hulk vs. Dracula, 2011, written by Victor Gischler with art by Ryan Stegman, is exactly as awesome as it sounds. Hulk, possessed by one of the mystical worthy, takes on Dracula and his army of vampires. It's 3 issues of pure chaos, monster-on-monster action, and some of the most bizarre team-ups you'll ever see. Despite the dark premise, the comic leans into the absurdity of its concept. It's a reminder that Marvel can still deliver wild, over-the-top battles without taking itself too seriously. So if you're in the mood for epic destruction, ancient vampire politics, and Hulk smashing things in Transylvania, this is the comic for you. Just remember, if you're a vampire, maybe don't pick a fight with a guy called Breaker of Worlds.